Good morning again in this beautiful Tuesday morning, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to my second biology class, and this will be your first botany class. In this class we'll start with study about plants, and today we'll be learning about chapter 1 for botany, that is transportation of materials in plants. What's the title of the lesson? Transportation of materials in plants. Have you heard this word transportation before? You must have heard when you were a small kid. For small kids, maybe in class 1 or 2 or even in your KGs, you will be having one chart for this, right? What chart? Means of transportation. What does that mean? What have you seen in those charts? In those charts, you must have seen many vehicles like cars or buses or trains. You must have seen many vehicles. Okay, so why vehicles for transportation? Because transportation means movement from one place to another. So for the movement, many vehicles are used, right? So that's what you must have studied in your lower grades. But in this lesson, they have given you transportation of materials in plants. So what is transported? The title itself tells you materials. What materials are transported and why are they transported? Why it needs to be transported? About all these we'll study in this lesson. So we'll start the lesson. So the materials transported in plants. So there are three materials which move within the plants. So inside the plants there are three things that are moving from one place to another. So what are those three things? Number 1 is water, number 2 minerals, and number 3 food materials. So water, minerals and food materials move within the plant from one place to another, maybe from the root to the leaves or leaves to the stem. Like this, somewhere there is movement. That's why we have used the word transportation. So we learn about these three materials in detail. So water, when you pour in the soil, so what do? You pour some water to the plant, no? So that water is taken by the roots. Obviously roots are in contact with the water, right? So roots take the water and they have to distribute to all the parts of the plant, right? They have to distribute to the stem, to the leaves, and everywhere it has to distribute. For that it needs movement, otherwise what will happen? It will just remain in the root, right? Because root takes the water, it has to give to other parts. For that you need a mechanism, that is transportation. So water has to be transported. The second one is minerals. So where are the minerals in plants? Are there minerals in plants? Have you heard something about like that? No, actually the minerals are present in the soil. Minerals are present in soil. Either you apply in the form of fertilizers or naturally also minerals are present in the soil. So what happens? But minerals are solid materials, right? So directly they cannot ooze into the root and enter the plant. What it has to happen is the minerals has to be dissolved in water first. So you pour water to the plant now. When there are minerals, these minerals will dissolve first, just like you add salt or sugar in water, it dissolves, right? It dissolves and you cannot find the particles anymore. Similarly, these minerals in the soil also dissolve well in the water, and then the root, as usual, as it takes water, this mineral water also it takes, just like how it takes the ordinary water. Similarly, these dissolved minerals also are taken up by the roots. Then the roots, what they do, I told, they transport to the other parts, no? Then they give these minerals to all the parts of the plants. Okay, so why the plant needs minerals? Just we eat vitamins and minerals, right? Human beings. Similarly, plants also require nutrients for their growth. So these minerals are essential for the plants. The third one is food materials. What food materials? We are not supplying any food to the plant, right? So where does the food come from then? Food is prepared by the plant itself, and that process is called as photosynthesis. You must have studied in your class 3 or class 5, right? The process of photosynthesis. What is that? Photo means light and synthesis means preparation. So plants prepare their own food. Okay. So where this photosynthesis happen exactly? Exactly, photosynthesis happens in the leaves of the plants. So in the leaves there is photosynthesis. Okay. Now the plant has made so much of food. Okay. So this prepared food has to be distributed to other parts of the plants, right? Why? Sometimes they are stored in the root. Sometimes the food is stored in the stem. So it is distributed or stored in all the parts of the plants. Okay. So what did I tell you? Photosynthesis happens in leaves, but it is stored in the root or in the stem. For this, what is essential? Transportation. Only if it is transported or it is moved to another place, it can reach that place, right? So for this also transportation is essential. So what did we study until now? Plants undergo a process called as transportation. Why it needs transportation? For the transfer or transport of three materials. What are those three materials? Number one, water. It has to move from roots to other parts of the plant. Number two, minerals. Minerals are dissolved in water first, then they move to other parts of the plant. And the third one, food materials, which is prepared by photosynthesis, has to be distributed to other parts of the plant. So these three materials are transported in the plants. Clear now? Then we'll go for the next step. We have to learn something about water further. So you need water, and what is the requirement? Why the plant needs water? There should be a purpose, right, or some use. Why do we, even if you have garden at home, what you do? Daily you water the plants, right? Why you water them? First point, actually this is supposed to be first, because it is needed for survival. What is survival? Survival means just to keep itself alive. Suppose if you have a plant at home, don't pour water for 10 days. What will happen? The plant will die, right? If there is no rain, if you don't pour water, it will die. It cannot even live. First of all, even for human beings, if you don't drink water for many days, the person will die, because water is essential for a life to be kept alive. Okay, so similarly for plants also, for the survival or to keep themselves alive, they need water. So the first use of water is survival, and the second need is for growth. Sometimes the plant is alive, but it will not grow if you don't water properly. Okay, so for the growth, if there has to be cell division. Why I talk about cell division here? Growth, when we talk generally, actually what is happening is there is cell division. When the cell divides, the plant will increase in size. About this I will explain you in the later part of the lesson. Okay, so for growth of the plant also there is need for water. So what did I tell you? First, water is essential for survival. Second, water is essential for growth. Even if it survives, if you don't supply it with sufficient water, it will not grow properly. So it has to grow. Number 3, mineral absorption from the soil. Third point is mineral absorption from the soil. When talking about minerals here, I explained you something. What did I tell you? Minerals are all solid particles. So the plant cannot take in those solid particles directly. So what it does? It dissolves in the water you pour, and then the plants can take in, I said, right? So similarly, for that dissolving purpose, mineral absorption from soil, that dissolving power is termed as absorption. After it dissolves, the root can absorb. Okay, so for the minerals to be absorbed from the soil, only in the presence of water the minerals can dissolve. That's why it is called mineral absorption from soil. So what are the 3 uses of water? Essentially, a plant needs water for 3 reasons. One is for its survival, to keep itself alive. Number 2, to increase in height or in width or girth, you tell. So to increase in height or thickness. Also for growth, the water is required. The last point is mineral has to be dissolved in water for the plant to take in. So water is essential for mineral absorption. So what all we have studied? 3 materials to be transported in plant: water, minerals and food materials. 3 uses of water: growth, survival and mineral absorption. So clear now? Let us move to the next part. Okay, so I have told you water moves inside. I am constantly repeating that water is moving inside the plant. Water moves inside the plant. So from where to where and how it moves? There should be some process, no, correct process how it moves. We will study about that here. So what you see here, these are the roots, and below, when you pour water, it is not going to float up. Will it float above? Where it will go? It will go inside the soil, right? So these roots are also inside the soil and they take in the water first. The blue arrow mark denotes that water is taken in from the soil. So water is taken by the root. Who takes the water? The root takes the water. Water is taken by the roots. Then point number 2, through conducting tissues. What are these conducting tissues? Conducting is something like an intermediate which will help in getting something and giving to someone else. Okay, it is like an intermediate. So who is the intermediate here? The conducting tissues. What are those conducting tissues? There are 2 types of conducting tissues in plants. They are xylem and phloem. So xylem and phloem are the 2 types of conducting tissues. So what did I tell you? Initially from the soil, water is taken by the root and through the conducting tissues, that is xylem and phloem. I told you xylem and phloem, that is the conducting tissues, are intermediates. They get from the root and give it to somebody else. To who they are giving? They are giving to 2 characters here. One is stem and the second one is leaves. So you have to remember the route of transport in 3 steps. 1, from where it is taken, who takes it? Root takes it. Who is the intermediate here? The conducting tissues, that is the xylem and phloem. To who it is finally delivered? Who takes the water? There are 2 parts, stem and leaves. So taken by root through the conducting tissues, that is xylem and phloem, and it is delivered to the stem and leaves. Who are those 2 people using it actually? The stem and the leaves. I repeat again. So water from the underground soil is taken by the roots through the conducting tissues, that is xylem and phloem, and delivered and given to 2 parts, that is stem and leaves. Clear with this? So how water is transported from the soil to the other parts of the plant we have learnt. Now we learn about the definition for transportation. We have not studied the definition yet, right? So after explaining, I thought I will define you so that it is easy for you to understand. So you are now clear with transportation. So now let's define or learn the definition for transportation. What is that? The movement of substances. Transportation is the movement of substances from one part to another through the conducting tissues. So what are the movement of substances? We have studied 3 substances can move. Now what are they? Either water or minerals or food. So transportation is the movement of any one of or all the 3 of those substances from one part to another. From which part to which part? From the root to the stem and leaves, through the conducting tissues, that is xylem and phloem. So read the definition twice so that it is registered in your mind. So movement of substances from one part to another through the conducting tissues is called as transportation. Okay. Now we learn about 2 physiological processes that needs water. There are two processes in plant. There are many processes in plant, but there are two important processes in plant that needs water. The first process is called transpiration. What is that? Transpiration. What we have studied, the definition and all the stories what we studied till now is not transpiration, it is transportation. Transportation. Okay, because now students confuse and write different terms for different processes. So this is transpiration, that is transportation. Okay, so what is transpiration? It is a physiological process in a plant. Transportation is movement. So now we are studying two physiological processes that are important in plant that needs water. Where you need water, the first process is transpiration, the second process is photosynthesis. So what are the two physiological processes that needs water? Number one, transpiration. Number two, photosynthesis. What is transpiration? We learn photosynthesis, you know, I guess. Transpiration, maybe it is new to you, I guess. Okay, what is transpiration? Transpiration is the loss of water through the leaves. What is transpiration? Loss of water through the leaves. Early morning, if you see, on the leaf surface you can see water droplets like this. I don't know how clear it is for you. There are water droplets. How many of you have seen water droplets on the leaves? Not because of rain or not because you pour water, even if you don't pour, early morning you can see many, it's not the dew drops always. Naturally also you will see water droplets. Okay, so why I talk about early morning, why not during the daytime? Because in the daytime you have heat because of sunlight and it gets evaporated. You cannot see mostly during the daytime or during a sunny day. Okay, that's why I'm telling about early morning. Okay, so you can see water droplets on the leaf surface, that is called as transpiration. So what is transpiration? Loss of water from the plant through the leaves is called transpiration. So how can you check this? So you may think it is some dew or mist or some other water somebody has poured, right? How can you prove that it is transpiration or it is the water released by the plant outside? There is an experiment. You do one thing. If you have a potted plant at your home, just take a polythene sheet or a plastic bag and tie on some of the stem portion, you tie it. Okay, so keep as such for 5 or 6 hours. You just keep as such as tied in tight position. Then you can check that there are small water droplets inside the plastic cover. So what experiment did I tell you? Take a potted plant, cover a portion of the stem with, just tie with a rope or a rubber band. You can cover with the plastic sheet and you can tie. Keep the plant as such undisturbed for some hours, and after some time if you open the plastic sheet you can see water inside. From where you got the water? The leaves has released out the water droplets. The leaves has released out the water droplets. But if you don't cover, it will just evaporate into the atmosphere. That's why we cannot see. So if you need to check, you can do like this. Okay, so how much water is released like this in this transpiration process? It says 99% of water. What does this mean? If I pour 100% of water to the plant, 99% is lost in the form of transpiration through the leaves. What is transpiration? Loss of water through the surface of the leaf. So how much of water I pour to the plant? 99% of water is all wasted, or it is all released back into the atmosphere. What happens to the remaining 1%? The 1% alone is used for a process called as photosynthesis. I told you already, photosynthesis means synthesis of food by the plant for itself using light energy. Photo is light, that's why we call it as photograph. We use light, no, without flash you cannot see, it will be dark, right? So similarly photo is light, photo means light. So with the help of light, when the plant produces food, it is called as photosynthesis. So next we learn about the structure of root and root hairs. Why you need to learn about the structure of root and root hairs? Especially the root hairs are the part of the root which actually takes place in the absorption of water. We have studied, no, root absorbs water. So which portion in the root actually absorbs the water? The root hairs is the one which absorbs the water. Where are the root hairs? Can you see some small hair like structures in this? Actually this is called the primary root. The thick portion is called the primary root and these are called secondary roots. Okay, so from the primary roots and secondary roots you can see small hair like structures, and these hair like structures are called as root hairs. The hair like structures are called as root hairs. You also have something at the tip of the root. It is called as root cap. The tip of the root has root cap. Okay, so now take these root hairs, take a root hair and cut it into very thin slice, and then when you place under the microscope. Have you heard about microscope? Is this word familiar to you? What is microscope? Microscope is an instrument which is used to magnify. What is magnification? Just zoom the things in your mobile phone. Suppose if you have a picture, okay, if I send you some material, if it is not clear, what you do? You zoom and you try to look into for the clarity, right? When you zoom, you can see things in a bigger way. Similarly, when you put things under microscope also, it will show you in a bigger size. So what did I tell you? Take a root hair and make a thin section of the root hair, and then when you observe under the microscope, you can see this structure. What is this? The structure of the root hairs which is put under the microscope. You can clearly see the parts of the roots. The roots have all these parts. It appears like a hair structure like to us, no? When you see through your naked eye, when you see under the microscope, you can see all these structures inside a root hair. So what all they have? First of all, you have a green outer covering, right? This green outer covering is also split into two regions. Okay, the outer layer and the inner layer. You have two lines, no? For this green region you have two lines. The outer layer is called cell wall and the inner layer is called cell membrane. Actually here also it is marked like inner layer, but cell wall is the outer layer and the inner layer of that green portion is called cell membrane. So what we have studied? Cell wall and cell membrane. Then a darkly shaded, in any cell, whatever is darkly shaded circle, that is called the nucleus. You can close your eyes and label the part. If you find a big darkly shaded region, that is called the nucleus, which will have the genetic material, that is DNA or RNA. I have already told you in your zoology class, right? So this is the nucleus. Then see, inside you have a big white portion, right? That is called the vacuole. What is that called? Vacuole. Vacuole has a liquid portion called as cell sap. What is that called? Cell sap. And this yellow color portion where you can find the nucleus, that is all called as cytoplasm. What is that called? Cytoplasm. So these parts all must be familiar to you. If I give you a diagram without labeling, you should know to label all these. So what all we have learned? First you have two layers in the green region. The outer layer is called as cell wall and the inner layer is called cell membrane. Then you have two liquid portions, okay? One inside the vacuole, that is called cell sap, and the one in the cell inside the root hair cell, the yellow color portion is called cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is not labeled, cell sap is also not labeled. The liquid portion inside the vacuole, which is the vacuole? This big white portion is the vacuole. Inside you have a liquid called cell sap, and this cell has yellow color region, that is called cytoplasm. Cell wall, cell membrane, cell sap and cytoplasm. 4 you are clear, right? Darkly shaded portion, nucleus, and then this is the root hair extension, what you see there. So the white portion is vacuole. You are clear with this? So this is how the root hair appears under the microscope. Next we will see the transverse section of a root. Okay, so the previous slide what we saw is if you cut a root hair and put under microscope, that structure you can see. What is this? If you cut the entire root, you had primary and secondary roots, no? Do you remember? So that portion if you cut and if you put under microscope, how you should cut? You should make a thin slice. Take a root and make a very thin slice and place it under a microscope. You will see this structure. The previous structure was structure for root hairs. This structure is for the entire root. You have a thick long stem, no? Root, the primary root you call. So that portion if you make thin slice and put under microscope, this structure will appear. So what all is present in a transverse section of a root? The first thing is the unicellular hair, which is the root hair. A root will have root hair, right? So many root hairs are present in the outermost layer. The outermost layer is called epidermis. You have a dark green region, no? Single layer of epidermis. Epi itself means outside. Epi means outside. For human also you call your skin, the outer skin as epidermis. Epidermis. Dermal means skin. That's why a skin doctor is called as dermatologist. So here epidermis. The skin for plant is also called as, the outer layer of the plant is also called as epidermis. Outer dermal layer. Okay, so epidermis. See, from the epidermis only you can find the root hairs. So you can call the root hairs as extensions of the epidermis. Can you call them as extensions of epidermis? Why? Only from the epidermal layer they are protruding out. So you can call them as extensions of epidermis. So these root hairs, if you see, all the surface, that is surface area, which means the area each epidermal cell covers is very small, but the root hair alone has a very big surface area. What is surface area means? And measure this area, each epidermal cell. If you measure, the size will be small, but when you see the root hair and if you measure the outer surface area, the surface area is very big compared to the other epidermal cells. Root hair cells are also epidermal cells, but they are extended. They are extensions of the epidermis. Okay, so when compared to other epidermal cells, when you measure the length or the surface area of the root hairs, it is very big. Why it is very big? It has a special purpose. Because of its large surface area, it can absorb more water. I told you already the function of root hairs is absorption of water. All these epidermal cells do not absorb water, but only the root hairs, this extension, absorbs water. So because of these large surface area, root hairs have the tendency to absorb more water. So this is an advantage. So about epidermis, I have already told you it is a single layer. It is one layered. Okay, and some of the epidermal cells are extended in the form of root hairs. This is you will be learning about epidermis. The next layer, if you see, it is the cortex. From where to where is the cortex? Below epidermis till the endodermis. You have two brown layers here, no? The outer brown layer is called endodermis. What is endo? Endo means inside. Epi means outside. Epi denotes outside and endo denotes inside. So the region between epidermis to the endodermis is called cortex. Okay, it is multi-layered. Why you call it as multi-layered? We called epidermis as single layered. Why? Only one layer of cells you have here, right? Whereas in cortex you have multi-layers. So there are many layers of cells. So you call them as multi-layered, and they are loosely packed. They are not tightly bound to each other, but they are loosely packed cells. So this is about cortex. Then you have two brown layers. The outer brown layer is called endodermis. Outer brown layer is called endodermis. Again, endodermis is also a single layer of cells. Endodermis is single layer of cells, and you can find endodermis just below the cortex. Below the cortex only you have endodermis, no? So it is about endodermis. Then you have one more brown layer inside, it is called as pericycle. The inner layer is called as pericycle. Out of these two brown layers, outer is epidermis, endodermis, and inner one is pericycle. Endodermis and pericycle, and inside that you have two regions. See some dark brown circles you find, no? That is called as xylem, and these semicircles, can you see, these semicircles are called as phloem. Have you heard this word xylem and phloem before? We have studied, right, in the definition of transportation. We studied that the conducting tissues, that is xylem and phloem, are present. They are helpful in conducting the water. It is only because of these xylem, this is xylem and this is phloem. How can you describe the arrangement of xylem and phloem? You can see them as alternatively xylem arranged. And phloem are alternatively arranged. What does that mean? Which means if there is one phloem, again there is one xylem. Again you see one phloem and again one xylem. So it is called as alternatively arranged. So together the xylem and phloem, you call them as conducting tissues. No, conducting tissues is the function of these xylem and phloem, but they have a name called as vascular bundle. What is vascular bundle? Xylem plus phloem is equal to vascular bundle. The term vascular bundle is given to both xylem and phloem together. Okay, so what all we have studied in this structure? Outer root hair, outermost layer is epidermis, single layer. The extensions of the epidermal layer are the root hairs. The root hairs have larger surface area which helps in better absorption of water. Below the epidermis is a multilayered cell of cortex and it reaches until endodermis. The outermost brown layer, it is a single layer called as endodermis. Below the endodermis you have one more brown layer which is called as pericycle. This is the pericycle, and again you have vascular bundles, that is xylem and phloem alternatively arranged. This is xylem and this is phloem, they are alternatively arranged. So this is all about transverse section of root. So today's class is over. We have studied and now it is time for your homework. Okay, so for your homework, what you are going to do is activity. So throughout the lesson we have studied water is transported or it is taken up by the roots and it is given to the leaves and other parts, right? We have studied throughout the lesson. So you are going to test this in your home. What you will do, just cut a small stem, okay? Any plant, don't take a useful plant, any waste plant which is lying on your garden or outside, you can cut the stem. Okay, cut the stem of this size is enough, don't take a big one or any thin stem which is lightly colored you can take and you cut this much of stem. Okay, then put it into water with some ink drops. What did I mean? So take a small cup or tumbler or something you can take, put in water in it and add few drops of blue ink or red ink or even food color. You can add some colored solution you must have. So what all you need, take a small stem from a plant, cut it, okay, have this, again take a beaker, sorry not beaker, a tumbler at home and add some water in the tumbler and put some color into it, either ink, a few drops of ink or which is blue or red in color, or also if you have food color you can add into it. Don't put turmeric all, it should be brightly colored, okay? Because of color, do not add yellow color turmeric, okay? So you will add only food color which is brightly colored, like red all you will have, no, that you can add, or else you can add ink, a few drops of ink which is blue or red. Okay, now put this twig or the stem you have, no, inside the water, it should touch the water, and then keep this setup for 5 to 6 hours as such. Okay, So what I told, in a tumbler, take colored water, put the stem inside you need not take the root all, just cut the stem portion alone and you just put it into the water and keep it undisturbed. Do not touch for 5 to 6 hours, don't touch it. So after 5 to 6 hours, what you are going to see? You will see the red color liquid spread to the veins of the leaves and to the stem. The plant will start appearing. What color liquid you have, that color it will start appearing. Why? Because it is a proof, you have evidence that this is the water taken up by the plant. It is, the water is conducting water, you will know from this experiment. So this you are going to do today, and what you will do, you will take a picture, zoom and take a picture so that I can see the colors in the leaves and stem. Okay, take a picture and send it to this one, and also you will note down the time. You write the time, after how many hours you got the color, either 2 hours or 3 hours or 5 hours or 6 hours. Whenever you get the color, observe at what time the plant has conducted water. So there is no competition for this. I am not going to announce the name of the person who has sent me the first message, because different plants take time to absorb water all. So you need not rush it, do it patiently, but send me the picture. So activities and homework, what you are doing, no, I am keeping a record of the name of the students and who have all submitted. I have a record with me, so I will enter in that. Okay, so finish off your homework. Until I meet you in your next class, take care and bye bye.